Don't say I ever don't get dirty.
Looks kind of like play sand, but I'm not gonna play in it.
Hey everybody, we're over here at my site, Site 3. Just got done choring. There's really not a whole lot of pig work going on here on the farm. My pigs are just about big enough to be going out, so I would say within a week or two, we'll be sending pigs out of here. The most progress happening on the farm is over at our manure separation site. The construction is booming, and so Dad and I are gonna give you guys an update down there and show you all the good stuff going on and what they've gotten done so far, and we're just inching closer and closer by the day. So, and the weather's nice, but I think it's gonna turn this week. It's gonna start freezing rain and probably a little bit of snow. We're still not out of it yet. Mother Nature's still not letting us out, but we'll take days like this. A lot of action going on.
Yeah, there is. So we haven't been very good about giving our updates, but the weather's been just shitty enough, or else it's been windy to where you can't hear anything. We'll show you where we're at. So today, as you can see, we're pouring some concrete, and what they're doing is, if you remember, before it got cold, we poured that footing all the way around, and we formed up where our steel posts were gonna be. Okay, well, they set them and they built the building. This gap right here, that's gonna be the level of our floor. So what they had to do is they had to form up and basically pour a little bit of the top of the footing to make up that difference from where we were, because we didn't know exactly where our elevation was gonna be. That's what they're doing today, is pouring that. They'll come in here and they'll fill this with gravel, vibrate it, put the rebar down, and we still got to figure out where our electrical's going to come up and where our pipes from all our pits are going to come up. They're probably all going to come up back there in that corner where that roll-up door is going to be, but that's still all going to get laid out. So that's what they're working on today. And if you look up, you can see the ceiling is in, and so that is all lined and insulated. They got to do a little bit of trim along the girders. You can see where there's the Tyvek is sticking out, but the roof is all insulated. The sidewalls are not insulated yet. When they get the floor down, originally we thought we were gonna have to insulate everything and then heat this up to get the frost out of the ground. But fortunately our weather has improved enough that the frost is basically gone. We're not gonna have to worry about that. So we probably are not gonna heat the building before we pour the floor. It doesn't look like it. Anyway, these sidewalls, when they're done, this cavity will be filled with insulation, and then we'll tint it on the inside just like the roof is. So a lot going on. The garage doors are here, the roll-up doors are here. They probably won't put those in until either right before the floor is poured, or I'm assuming after the floor is poured. It's gonna be decent temperature this week, but chance of rain, chance of sleet, chance of snow, depending on how those temperatures flow. So I'm not sure how far they're gonna get on actually pouring the floor. I'm sure they're gonna get the rock in here and the rebar laid, but I don't know if we'll get concrete poured or not.
Yeah, a lot to be excited about. Progress is happening pretty quick. The rig that they got on that skid loader is pretty cool. It's just like a big bucket with a, I don't know, a hydraulic that lets the concrete out and puts it into that hole that they're filling right now, and he can control that in his skid steer to release concrete out or to shut it or release it or shut it. He just keeps going back to the truck, getting refilled, putting it right where they need it to be. Who knew you could get concrete in tight places? It's a good thing good tool to use to get concrete where you need it. So
beats the hell out of a wheelbarrow, for sure. Because I mean, that's what you'd be doing, or they'd be trying to back the truck in here and run along and control it, and that's a pain in the ass. So that deal works really nice. So this is how they hold that concrete. They went all the way around this building, and you can see right here in the corner, this is that footing that we poured. They cut 3/4 inch plywood and made a form, and then they drove rebar down and they braced it, and they went all the way around. That's the outside of that concrete they're pouring. That concrete wall is going to be about a finger's thickness from that trim. Anyway, just thought I'd show you how they did that. Well, good afternoon. We got a fun day of laughter and learning planned, so I'm just pulling in to site 1. I was at the warehouse packing meat, and luckily it got me out of doing that, so I'm pretty happy about it. So we got some guys here from Kansas, and what they brought today is part of our LWE machine. It is a vertical separator, and they're gonna set up here. They're gonna separate a little manure because we gotta do some fine tuning. So here you go. You know these guys? NutriDrip. They're part of this whole deal in the fact that the separator that they've kind of perfected, we're gonna use in our LWE system, so stay tuned. Okay, I'm back. It's getting warm in southeast Iowa, so I had to shed a few clothes because, you know, I carry too much insulation around anyway. I'm gonna show you, they got this deal in and running. This is what we're getting, and just for you, I'm gonna get my, don't say I ever get, don't get dirty. So you can see all the hair. Pigs lose a lot of hair, but that's pretty dry. I don't know if it's 10% moisture or it's 15% moisture, but it's pretty dry. I'm gonna have the boys from NutriDrip talk about how this all works, but you can see there's their line that they're drawing from, and then these lines coming back. For what we're doing, those lines won't go back to the pit. We're further processing it. They're using this for a different purpose than what we are. They're just taking enough solids out of the manure that they can pump it through their buried irrigation lines. NutriDrip is a company that does below ground irrigation. They've got systems all over, but they're trying to build it to where you could take your manure, separate enough of the solids out that you could use it to irrigate through their drip tape. So that's kind of the process that they're using. Now what we're doing is a little bit different, and I'm going to have them explain how it works, but this is kind of the first step because that's a vertical screw press. That part of this whole apparatus is going to be in our building over there. So that's one of the pieces that we're going to use, and the reason they're here today is they're getting it dialed in as to what size of stuff we need. They're getting some samples and seeing how to tweak it a little bit. So anyway, that's the process. Looks kind of like play sand, but I'm not going to play in it. If you've been with us for any amount of time, you know when you're talking about something like this machine here, you need somebody a whole lot smarter than me to explain it to you. Fortunately for all of us, we have somebody like that. Who are you? And who do you work for?
Yep, I'm Tyler Grimm, and I work for NutriDrip, and I've been at this for a couple of years, not too many.
So what are we doing today?
So today we're here separating manure. Here's our demonstration trailer that we use to show the idea behind everything, so how it's going to work.
Okay, well how does it work? We're kind of starting at the end, aren't we?
Yeah.
We can work backwards, but this is the product that we end up with, at least for this part of it. What's this machine doing here?
So it's a vertical screw press, and it's taking out most of the solids up to 0.25 millimeters. So
okay,
that's what the vertical screw's taking out. It's dumping them in a pile here, and then from there it runs into a tank, and then we go and put it through some finer filtration after that.
Okay, so we're putting the manure is coming here first, is that right? So we're pumping the manure out of the pit. That's this line.
Yep.
We're pumping it in there under pressure. What kind of pressure is it running? Do you know?
I can tell you now.
More than your average household sink pressure. This is kind of the first step. We take the solids out, and then
the liquid is going over, and is it going to this machine over here?
Yeah, it goes in this tank, and then from here we transfer it up into that machine there.
Okay, and then we're gonna go over here and take a look at that. What's that contraption?
So it's what we call a microfilter, and basically inside of there is a cone shape with paddles, and it grabs liquids and flings them around, and it pushes it out the screen. Now that screen filters down to 25 micron, and then basically what it can't push through, it pushes out the top, and it discharges it back into the pit as a sludge.
So this is what's coming back out of that. What are you separating manure? What are you trying to do with the manure that you're separating?
Yep, so this manure is basically clean enough to run through our drip irrigation system. So then the idea would be we could take hog manure or dairy manure, separate it in the season, and push it through the drip tape and feed the crop while it's growing.
No more drought. You can water the corn the year round.
You probably have a fancier word for it, but basically subsoil irrigation for quite a while.
Yep, 12 years, yep.
And in that situation, you're using a well, and you're pumping that water. You have had the ability to like add fertilizer to that water.
Correct. Yep.
So then the next logical step is, well, let's be able to use manure. So yeah, that's pretty slick.
So for them, this system kind of gets them where they need to be to do what they want to do with it. For us, we've got a few more steps involved when we're trying to take that water to the point that we can recycle it back to the pigs. And so this is just one part of it. And what they're doing today is they're running this, and we're taking some samples because we're gonna use a machine like this in our LWE system, and basically we're figuring out what options, how we want it to run. I don't know if customizing is the right word for it, but just the right screens and the right sizes and all that. And so that's what they're here doing today. Stay tuned, more riveting television ahead.